Come all ye sons of Newfoundland and shed a tear or two, while I relate the hardships great befell the steamship's crew. Up on the 31st of March, that sad and fatal night, the Newfoundland's bold hardy crew got lost upon the ice.
Every March for more than a century, the men from the outports in Newfoundland went to the ice. The early settlers discovered another great catch besides cod was to be taken in the spring. When the immense tracts of ice pushed down from the north, great herds of seals came riding on the floes. The fat could be rendered into valuable oil and sold in Europe for cooking fat and lighting oil. The hides made good leather. The furs brought good returns on the world market, and the meat provided great quantities of food. So the men who came to fish in the summer months stayed through the harsh winters to go swiling in the spring. The industry grew and flourished. Many ports sent ships and men: Conception Bay, Carbonear, Harbour Grace, Trinity Bay, and the capital, St. John's. The peak was reached in 1857, when 370 ships and almost 14,000 men went to the ice. It was an industry dangerous, often cruel, and always wasteful. A story of brave men who incurred untold risks and discomfort to earn some much-needed cash. Down through the years, hundreds of men have lost their lives on the ice. Ships caught between the land and ice pressing on the shore were rafted and crushed like matchwood. Men separated from their ships by blinding blizzards have perished on the ice, and ships returning with full loads have been swamped and gone to the bottom.
Well, at them times, there was practically nothing else to do, only the fishery and the sailfishing. And that's got in the blood, I suppose. Everybody likes to go dice now, most of the men.
It's hard to describe the feeling among the young boys and men when the ships got ready, you know. It was a sort of a sporting trip. That's why I suppose it really was a sporting trip. Adventure, yes. And that's what took hold of the younger generation. There was nothing in it, only hardship and misery. And the crowding on board was really marvelous that the men adapted themselves to the conditions so well. They were so patient with each other, you know, piled on top of each 4 or 5 men in every bunk, you know. Food was poor, and the cooking, a lot of the cooking had to be done by themselves. They boil their own kettles and go to the galley and get the hot drink. Pretty crude.
Yea, we be the sealers of Newfoundland. We laugh at the blinding dark. We mock the wind as we fling behind the wilderness hoar and stark. We jest at death, at the icy breath of the pole by the north light spanned. In a wild death dance we dice with chance, we sealers of Newfoundland.
Around February, the men of the outports would begin their journey to St. John's to compete for the tickets for berths on the ships going to the ice. Every boy dreamt of the spring when his father would take him swiling with the rest of Newfoundland's men.
It started off about 5:30 or 6 in the morning. All the steamers in the harbor that were going to the seal fishing started blowing the horns. Some had sirens, and they'd be stoking up. The sky be full of smoke, The crowds would be going down to the wharves and out to vantage points, and the sealers would be going down to the wharves themselves, and the master watch would be on the gangway with the roll in his hand, and he'd call the men's names, and they'd answer, and they'd go aboard one by one. And then there would be a search for stowaways. 21 I counted one morning going out, one after the other. They'd be down the wharves to say goodbye, and there'd be, when the ships were backing out, there'd be calls from the friends on the board, the friends on the wharf. And as they went down the harbor, the ships would cheer, and the men on the ships would be lined up on the front of the ship, the bow, and along the sides nearest the shore, and they'd be cheering and waving their caps. And the whole thing would be excitement, you know, the whole thing kind of gripped you.
There were 20 steel and wooden steamers in the fleet in 1914. The SS Newfoundland, 568 tons, was large among the wooden ships, but tiny alongside the steel icebreakers. By this time, the industry was in the hands of a few St. John's merchants. Competition was fierce. Risks were taken with men and ships. Many were not properly equipped. The Newfoundland had no wireless. On the morning of March 10th, the Newfoundland sailed with over 140 men aboard her. Her captain was Wes Keane, the young son of the legendary Captain Abram Keane, the Commodore of the sealing fleet, whose ship, the Stefano, was the queen of the fleet. At Wesleyville, the Newfoundland stopped to take on more crew. One sealer was Cease Moland, who'd walked with his cousin from Doting Cove to join the ship. They sailed for the ice fields. About 20 miles off the coast and 8 miles away from the main patch of seals, the Newfoundland was jammed fast in heavy rafted ice. Captain Wes Keane was furious and frustrated at having put his ship in such a situation. He spotted the Stefano and saw her afterderrick was hoisted vertically. This was a signal agreed upon between father and son to show that the old man was working a good patch of seals. If the Newfoundland could not reach the seals, her men would have to, on their own feet. Shortly before 7 a.m., all 4 watches, 179 men, were ordered over the side under the command of George Tuff, the vessel's second in command. Cease Moland was one of those men.
When we got about halfway, there was one elderly man. He stopped, and he said, "I'm not going any farther." Anyway, he said, "We're going to have the biggest storm we ever had in the history of our seal fishery." And he said, "It could be a disaster before it's over." And we young fellers laughed at him. We didn't see no sunhounds. And he said, "Look at them up there. You see them? They're red." And he said, "That's a true sign of a stormy time." And he said, "If I had one more man with me, I'll go back to the Newfoundland, the old Newfoundland, this is Newfoundland." And there was about 25, 30 men followed him. So he got back safely, and Captain West lectured them before they got on board and called them grandmothers.
The main body of sealers, 132 in all, continued on to the Stefano, reaching her around noon.
Climbed up the side sticks and got on board, and we were hungry, even a little bit tired at that, because we walked about 7 miles. And then we had what they call a mug up. Captain Abram was saying, "Newfoundland men over the side, over the side." And that was orders. And so we got over the side. So we didn't really know that we were going to be put out then for all night. We figured, well, we'll go out for a little while and find some seals or whatever it might be, and he'll come and pick us up again before dark. For the simple reason he had the icebreaker.
Aboard the Newfoundland, Captain West ate a good hot supper and went to his bunk content in the belief that his men were safe aboard the Stefano. On the Stefano, the old man was worried